From local sports to national newsmakers, this is the show everybody is talking about. Live from the Granite State, it's Mike and the Hoss on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Good morning and welcome to the Mike and the Hoss Show, powered by the Yum Shop on the Pulse of New Hampshire. I'm Mike Dene, and alongside Charlie Hossack, we are Mike and the Hoss. Charlie in the other room, Dog back at studio. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week?
Good morning. I'm doing great. It's baseball season's making me happy. We are rolling in, or we have rolled in to April, which is awesome. Kind of the end of our school year is in sight, and warmer weather and happy days are on the horizon.
Speaking of rolling, have we enjoyed the roller coaster of the Boston Red Sox so far?
I have. I mean, we're finally back to 500, so I can live with that.
Finally, it's only been a week. It was a roller coaster of a week as far as Red Sox emotions. And, Monday I was ready to throw in the towel, but this kind of happens every year for me. And then, they put it together and looked good the rest of the week.
Yeah. And you're right. So, and we'll see. And they're on today. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They're playing at home this afternoon.
Yep. 4:05 in the Pulse of New Hampshire. So,
3:05 pregame.
Yep. 4:05 pregame.
3:05 pregame.
3:05 pregame. And 4:05 first pitch. And they've won 3 in a row. They're on a roll. I know that Charlie and I are Red Sox fans. Dog, you're not quite a Red Sox fan, but you kind of got to support them a little bit. A roller coaster of a week for the Boston Red Sox.
Hey, speaking of weeks, Dog's got a big week coming up. Like, he looks a little stressed now. He's got his remotes going on, but you are getting out of Dodge. Where are you going, Dog?
Cleveland, Ohio, as the Guardians have their home opener. 32 degrees will be the high with a chance of snow, by the way. That didn't happen last year. Why couldn't that happen this year? And then after that, I have to make a beeline from Progressive Field to Rocket Arena for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the best team in the Eastern Conference, hosting the Chicago Bulls. It's a Cleveland versus Chicago sports doubleheader. And then on Wednesday, the day after Tuesday, I am going to the Cleveland Monsters AHL hockey game as they host the Grand Rapids Griffins.
Awesome.
Wow, that's a good week. Here's a question. Are the Cleveland Cavaliers the best team in the Eastern Conference, or do they have the best record in the Eastern Conference?
That's how it works. If you have the best record.
No, not necessarily. Not in that league. Not in that league. You see a lot of teams coming from behind in that league. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. We'll talk basketball later, but I think it will certainly be interesting.
I got to speak. Can I just jump in? And Dog will appreciate this. A former colleague of mine had texted me the other day and said Cleveland in 6. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Wow. I'm skeptical of the Celtics, and I have been for pretty much my whole life. And I am. And there's a lot of things about the Celtics that I don't necessarily like or believe in. The fact that they won 6 in a row by double digits out on the West Coast was so impressive, and then they come home and get blown out by Miami.
Yeah. And then I think it says a lot about they get right back at it last night, win by 20. I
don't like teams that take nights off.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And I think that's the Celtics team takes nights off. But again, we'll get into that a little bit later. All right. Mike and the Hoss is powered by the Yum Shop, located in the heart of downtown Wolfboro. Can be found on the Pulse of New Hampshire radio stations and all over the world on the Pulse of New Hampshire app, and also the new Pulse of New Hampshire podcast network. You can always catch up on our previous shows on the aforementioned Pulse of New Hampshire podcast network, Spreaker, Audible, and Amazon Music. The Yum Shop has over 100 varieties of fresh baked goods, including 6 different types of bread and a full-service ice cream bar, and of course, their most famous item, the gingerbread cookie. Make sure to visit the Yum Shop the next time you're in Wolfboro, or online at yummyshop.com. And while you're there, enter the discount code of Mike and the Hoss to receive 20% off a Gingy Box. You can always join our conversation, 603-228-2080. That is 603-228-2080. And you can also catch us on Facebook Live if you're not already watching. And thank you, the Heinz Group of Philadelphia and London, for sponsoring our live stream. All right, Charlie, let's do your opening take, because I know that you've got a lot into this one, and it's going to be a topic of our poll question later. Opening takes are brought to you by the Back Bay Boathouse,
where you can enjoy delicious food and drinks right next to the lake. Don't forget to order the $5 Mike and the Hoss penalty box during happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. All right, so my opening take, this is something that we being the three of us are obviously very familiar with, but it has to do with a few characters. Isaiah Thomas, former basketball player. We're talking about the old Isaiah Thomas, not the young guy.
Greatest Detroit Piston of all time. Yeah.
Correct. We're talking about Isaiah Thomas. We're talking about LeBron James. We're going to talk about Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. All the greatest of the greats. Isaiah Thomas doesn't like Michael Jordan. And there's been speculation as to why. There's been more that has come out. But a few of the things for those that don't know. Way back in 1985, there was an All-Star game. They called it the Freeze Out, where it was alleged that Isaiah worked with other veteran players to keep the ball out of Michael Jordan's hands because he didn't want the kid to have all the glory. Clearly, there was Dog was mentioning this. There was a Pistons and Bulls rivalry in the late 80s and early 90s. So Jordan was a Bull, and Isaiah Thomas, as Dog said, the greatest Piston of all time. The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary, it was not flattering towards Isaiah Thomas. Jordan said he respected Isaiah Thomas as a talented player, but believed that the impact that he would have had on the 1992 Dream Team, that the chemistry would have been way off if Isaiah Thomas had gotten on that team. And then there was some bad blood that was created through this between the Thomas and Jordan. It spilled over to Bird and Magic. And Bird and Magic actually were not fans of Isaiah Thomas. And people speculate it's the influence of Michael Jordan and the 1992 Dream Team. And of course, the rivalries that happened in the 80s and early 90s. So basically, in a nutshell, Isaiah Thomas has no love for Michael Jordan. So Isaiah Thomas, was asked, and he's been asked multiple times, who is the greatest player ever to play the game? Well, Isaiah Thomas's answer is the greatest player ever to play the game is LeBron James. And he said that LeBron James would be anointed the greatest player once he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, which we know he's already done. And LeBron's, as we know, still in the league, still playing. I want to. What are your thoughts, guys? Is LeBron James the greatest player of all time, or is this an Isaiah Thomas comment because he can't even utter the words Michael Jordan?
No, LeBron James is not the greatest player of all time, and I think this is one of those stories when it comes to Isaiah Thomas, which is a lot more juicier right now than the who's the greatest player of all time, in my opinion, because this is going back to the mid '80s. This is one of those things where you pick a side.
Yeah.
And I was on Jordan's side from day one on this. I remember the freeze out, the All-Star game, but I really remember the freeze out that Jordan did on Isaiah Thomas and the Dream Team, that he didn't want Isaiah Thomas as part of the Dream Team. And he said, if he comes, I'm not coming. Yeah. And at that time, Jordan was the hottest ticket in any sport. Back in 1992, he was the hottest ticket in any sport. So they were not going to mess with Jordan at that point. Also, on a side note, I watched most of Air, the movie Air, last night, which is a story of Michael Jordan and Nike. Yeah. I highly suggest it. It's really interesting to see what Nike was absolutely nothing compared to, and the risk that they took on Jordan by putting him there. Anyway, on the Isaiah Thomas, to me, is just dripping with jealousy when it comes to Michael Jordan. It is coming out of his ears, every orifice of his body. You can see the jealousy come out when he talks about Michael Jordan. And that's been going on ever since before Jordan came into the league. You saw it a little bit in college when in 1984, when he was on that Olympic team in 1984, and how good he was in 1984. You saw Isaiah Thomas, and they had he's going to be, he's going to be a rookie. He's got a lot to learn and all that other kind of stuff that went with it. And then Jordan came in and was starting putting up 50 a game. And those early Bulls teams, that had nobody. And it was all Jordan, so he could put up 50 a game. Isaiah Thomas, to me, he was a good basketball. Don't get me wrong. He was a good basketball player, and he probably is the greatest Piston of all time, like Dog said. He was a failed general manager of the New York Knicks, a massively failed general manager of the New York Knicks. He has tried to put himself in to elevate his status in the league to try to match Michael Jordan. And again, it's just oozing with envy and with jealousy. And all this is just sour grapes. And he doesn't want to give Jordan the credit that he's the greatest of all time.
Right. Dog, what are your thoughts?
I met Isaiah Thomas. He was in one of those studios back in the day, so I didn't mention Jordan. I knew what was going to happen. I didn't want to tick him off because him and his business partner have this wine that this champagne that they actually have, I think, in NBA locker rooms and stuff. So, but I got to meet one of the all-time greats, the greatest Detroit Piston of all time. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, because I am in the presence of him and talking to him, not just about basketball, but about we had to, because it was wine week at the time, back in the late 2010s, New Hampshire. It still is every February or so. In the back of my mind, I'm talking to the Sledgen here, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy played against Michael Jordan. He played with Michael Jordan, and these guys had this rivalry. They were teammates, on the same Eastern Conference team back in the 80s, even that whole freeze out thing. They were still teammates regardless, subsequent years after that. And the amount of pettiness between both of them, Jordan wasn't going to be part of the dream team, part of his country, if Isaiah Thomas was going to play. Isaiah Thomas, sour grapes of Michael Jordan, saying LeBron James is the greatest of all time. There's pettiness on both sides here, but it goes to the camp Jordan probably because he's the greatest basketball player of all time. So with that comes, you're going to have some dissent here. If you have people that are going to say that so-and-so is the greatest of all time, and that's their opinion, they're entitled to it. They're going to get dissent on that. But if they say Jordan as well, so there's some people that don't think Jordan is the greatest of all time, and that's okay too. It's an opinion. The facts may bear otherwise, but
yeah, I do. If Jordan would have been in the other room, would you have been thinking, "Wow, that guy played with Isaiah Thomas"?
No,
probably not.
No.
Probably not.
So I just think it's sour grapes. I think he, and also remember that the Bulls took over from the Celtics, and the Bulls' run was a few years. And then, the Pistons took over from the Celtics, and then the Pistons run was a couple years, and then the Bulls came. It wasn't like they had a dynasty of 10 years, and that didn't happen. It was because of Michael Jordan.
The Celtics got in the way of that. Isaiah Thomas was on the radio saying that to the Pistons, the Celtics were the teachers and the Pistons were the students. And at some point, the students overcame the teachers. Mm-hmm. So that's that whole bad boy Pistons. They felt when they got over the hump and were able to beat the Lakers the second time around in 89 and then repeat and then beat the Blazers in 90, that they were able to finally get the crown. And they did for a very short time, as you mentioned, Chuck Daly and company. They got the ring. They got rings. They got two of them. Mm-hmm. Be able to beat the Lakers and then beat the Blazers the next year. But then after that, it was the team of the 1990s, the NBC era, the Michael Jordan era, the Nike era, whatever you want to call it. It was all about Jordan and the Bulls.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's why, or one of the big reasons why Isaiah is so resentful of Jordan this many years afterwards, because he took that limelight from him. Because if Jordan's not around, the Pistons win a couple more years. Yeah. They win a couple more years, but that didn't happen. And then, Jordan took over as the greatest of all time in many people's eyes. And Isaiah Thomas has never come. We're going to do it quickly. We're going to do our NBA all-time starting five. I don't know if any of us are going to have Isaiah on there, but I know somebody that's going to be on there. You want to do this, Charlie, real quick?
Yeah, I'd love to do it. So, Mike, why don't you start, and then Dog can go, and then I'll go.
Okay. I was very liberal with some of the positions because I wanted the best five guys out there. So my point guard was Magic Johnson. My shooting guard was Steph Curry. My small forward was Michael Jordan. I put him in a small forward because he was kind of a hybrid. My power forward was Larry Bird, and my center was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay. All right. For me, I didn't see Isaiah Thomas on that list.
No. I just or
LeBron. I didn't see LeBron make it either. Okay.
Nope.
Just making sure. All right. My list. Actually, I'm sorry, Dog. I didn't mean to interrupt. You're
you go ahead. I want to save the worst for last.
Oh, come on. All right. So I have, for my point guard, I have Magic Johnson, same as you, Mike. My shooting guard, I have Michael Jordan. I actually have him as the shooting guard. My strong forward was I have Larry Bird. How about my power forward? A little different here. I have Kevin Garnett. And then my center is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What are your thoughts, Dog?
Okay, guys. What do you want to start with? You want to start with center or end with center? What do you want to do?
Let's end with the center.
Okay, what do you want to start with?
How about a point guard?
Point guard, I'll put Jordan.
Okay. What about a shooting guard?
Curry.
How about your shooting your forward, small forward?
LeBron.
Oh boy, we got some battles going on here. Who's your power forward?
Kobe.
Kobe. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to judge. What about your center?
Center, Bill Russell.
Okay,
There we go.
interesting. Could this be? Could I dare say this? Could this be generational? Dog's a little bit younger than we are, Mike. So
Damn
Well,
right it is.
I can't argue with any of what he said, because if I would have put Kareem, I would have put Bill Russell.
yeah, Bill Russell was
And,
my two.
And Kobe, I have a tough time leaving him off the list, but somebody had to be left off the list. I see Dog did not have Larry Bird, which is it's
Or Magic.
and that's fair. I think the NBA, when you do starting five, there's 10 to 15 legitimate choices with the NBA. Whereas when we do it for baseball, out of starting nine, you don't have those kind of flexibility. I don't feel like you have that kind of
No,
flexibility.
you don't. Your left fielder probably can't play third base, or your left fielder can't pitch. That
Right.
type of thing.
All right,
Better be
we're way over, Charlie. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll do some New Hampshire sports.
News, traffic, weather, and discussion. Available to you anytime, anywhere with the always free to download Pulse of New Hampshire app.
Attention students, apply now for the New Hampshire Association of Broadcasters Student Broadcaster Scholarship, and you could be awarded $2,500 towards the 2025-2026 academic year. To apply, you must be a New Hampshire resident and currently enrolled or planning to enroll in a broadcast-related program at an accredited 2- or 4-year college. You don't have to go to school in the Granite State to apply either. Log on to nhab.org for an application. Deadline to apply is Friday, April 11th. Don't wait. Apply today, and you could be well on your way to a career in broadcasting. Vinny Media is a proud participant in the NHAB Student Broadcaster Scholarship Program. To submit your application, go to nhab.org. Apply now for the New Hampshire Association of Broadcasters Student Broadcaster Scholarship. You could be awarded $2,500 towards the 2025-2026 academic year. nhab.org.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Rizin, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hi, this is Sean Toll with Davis Wealth Management. Think you can time the market? Think again. Market timing can be risky and unpredictable. At Davis Wealth Management, we focus on long-term growth and stability, helping you build wealth consistently over time. Don't gamble with your future. Invest wisely. Call us today at 603-715-2335. That's 715-2335. Let's invest in your future with confidence.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, LLC, BCM, a registered investment advisor.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free.
Coming up at noon, we talk tech with Kim Commando. In the meantime, we're back to Mike and the Hoss on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Mike and the Hoss on the radio waves. Teachers by day, coaches making plays. Sports talking kings of Wolfboro Town.
I see Dog doing some bragging if you're watching Facebook Live on the simulcast about the American League Central powerhouse, those 3 and 4 Cleveland Guardians. The first place 3 and 4 Cleveland Guardians, mind you.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that says about the American League Central. It's early. It is early, but that powerhouse of a 3 and 4 team.
Jose Ramirez, baby. Jose, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Jose, 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 Jose. 3 homers last night.
That's good.
He matched their wins too. That's good. Good for him.
Against my boy Mike Trout.
Yeah, he had a couple over Trout. He couldn't get it. Well, they were tape measure shots anyway, unless
Yeah,
you get stretch arms.
His arm's not that long.
Oh no!
All right, Charlie, let's do some New Hampshire sports.
New Hampshire sports is brought to you by Bailey's Bubble. Family-owned and operated Bailey's Bubble in downtown Wolfboro serves the finest ice cream in the state from May through October. If you can't make it to Wolfboro for ice cream, you can still order their hot fudge, panucci, and butterscotch sauces at baileysbubble.com. My favorite is their homemade hot fudge. When placing your order, don't forget to tell them that Mike and the Hoss sent you. Mike, we're going to talk a little bit today about artificial turf versus grass fields. And just wanted to highlight, mentioned it last week, Stello Stadium, historic Stello Stadium in Nashua, New Hampshire, is reopening. It'll be reopening in the next week or so. It's home to Nashua North, Nashua South, and Bishop Girton high schools. They play their, of course, their soccer and their lacrosse there. The turf had to be replaced. The turf was so bad that they realized they had to raise some money and replace the turf. They raised $1.5 million, and they renovated not just the turf. They put in this beautiful new turf. It's called the Game On Turf. It has this extra padding underneath, but they also renovated parts of the stadium. They did some landscaping around it and put up some new netting. They actually repaired part of the press box. So they did a really nice job. I'm looking forward to going down there. We've been down there in the past, Mike. I mean, I think we were down there together. There were some soccer playoffs a few years back that Stello Stadium hosted the semifinals and so forth. So it's really exciting to see that Stello Stadium will be back in action. But that kind of leads us into there's a debate, even local debates around here, whether or not teams should have artificial turf or should they go back to natural grass. Like there's been a debate like, hey, if you have a turf field and it needs to be replaced, let's rip up the turf and put down grass. So let's talk a little bit about our opinions and kind of the pros and cons of each.
Well, the major con that you hear about is not financial, is that there's a little bit of an uptick on injury with artificial turf. And we hear about that in the pros. And the technology with artificial turf has increased tremendously. And so now you get the rubber pieces where you actually could use cleats. We have that out here on our field at Kingswood, which is due to be replaced too. Yeah. It's been in there for about 14 years now. 4 years beyond the life expectancy. So that's the big one. I mean, obviously there is an upfront cost too. As we see, it's about $1 million, 1.5 at Stellos, it's around that, for a basic football field to cost. But there's no more maintenance on that field.
Right.
That's a huge part of it. And we're seeing as budgets get frozen and school districts start cutting back, there's a massive budget line for field maintenance.
Yes.
And we see that, for high schools. And if you have a lot of fields like we do at Kingswood, there's a huge budget line for these fields, keeping those things maintained. You know what doesn't have any maintenance?
Yeah, the turf
field.
The artificial turf. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the artificial turf field, you need to fluff it every now and then. They call it vacuuming
Right.
it. You're right. You're right about that. And when you take a look at the cost of, you're a landscape guy, of fertilizing, mowing, watering, hoping that the sun, doesn't burn your grass and maintaining that cost, you think of an initial $1.5 million cost is huge, but the cost of trying to maintain fields is going to, I would think, Mike, not only meet, but maybe even exceed the cost.
I would say so. I'm sure there's somebody out there that knows the economics of it,
Yeah.
But when you think about the lifespan, they say the lifespan of these fields is 10 years.
Yeah.
And, you should have a plan to replace the 10 years. Like I said, over here, it's 14 years so far.
Yeah.
So they're 4 years beyond. The amount of money that goes in to paying a crew to come in and not just mow the field, but like you said, Charlie, there's watering, there's lining, there's edging, there's weeding, there's all these kinds of things that go into it is going to add up, especially for a professional crew. And if you want a professional looking appearance.
Yes.
The other part of it that gets brought up often, the benefits on a turf field, is the amount of use that it can get. Now, I've been in our district for quite a while, coaching and so on. And before the turf field, if we had a bad rainstorm or, the beginning of the year, the fields were shut down for days. It wasn't a matter of it, games getting canceled that day. They were shut down for days. Now that they have the turf field, and baseball doesn't play on the turf field, and that's what I was coaching, but lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, all those sports do play on the turf. Football, they don't miss time. Games don't get canceled. Games don't get rescheduled. Games they're just played because they can. The field drains off. Is not a problem. If you can't play in the rain, wait a few hours for the rain to stop, and then they can play. They don't have to do that. Whereas, and we've been coaching on the baseball field, Charlie, if there's a bad rainstorm at 4:00 and we have a 6:00 game, we're still not playing.
Right.
Because the field gets muddy and it's not safe.
Sure.
It's
and
not safe.
the other piece. Yeah, I mean the other piece. Looking at it, you're right. Especially where we live in New Hampshire, right? There's lots of snow. The nice thing about a turf field is you can plow the turf field. You can get the snow off the field. So if there's I heard like snow in our forecast on Monday. If we get 4 or 5 inches of snow, that could actually be plowed off, and you could play the game at 6 p.m. that evening under the lights if you wanted to. It's just a lot. It's a lot easier to manage with the natural, with the artificial turf. That being said, now if I have a preference, I'm a grass guy. I do like the grass as far as like if I'm playing the sport. I'm an all in on the grass guy. If I'm coaching the sport, I prefer the artificial turf because my shoes are not going to get muddy and we're going to be able to play the game.
I'm going to take that a step further. If I'm playing the sport, I want the artificial turf. I do. If I'm playing the sport, if I'm watching the sport, I want the grass. I want the grass. I want the bad hops. There's nothing more fun than the NFL games that would be playing at Miami at the Orange Bowl, I think it was the Orange Bowl, where they had the dirt infield. Am I saying that right? It was at the Orange Bowl. It was at Joe Robbie Stadium where they played the baseball also. Joe Robbie Stadium, where they had the infield and the guys would just come out so dirty. Yeah. So dirty. And I enjoyed that. I enjoy the natural grass. I enjoy those natural grass football games that are mud bowls.
Yeah.
Because those are fun to watch. Yeah. But I'd rather play on the turf.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you have all those old school ballparks, like the old Candlestick Park and all that. You had the Giants infield, there when you're playing football.
And on the same note, remember when the Kansas City Royals had their turf, but it was like cement. Also, the Expos had it too. It was like a cement field where the balls would bounce over the outfielder's head. If it hit in front of him, it would bounce over. That was no fun to watch. It was more like a track meet than anything else. And there was the grounders. If you play baseball, you understand that getting bad hops is part of it. It's part of it, but you don't get bad hops on turf. Yeah. And so, Ozzie Smith is considered to be the greatest shortstop that ever played defensively. He played on turf most of his life. Yeah. And, and it was that tight AstroTurf that the bounces were so clean and it played fast. I don't know. I'd rather see, a Cal Ripken who played on grass most of his life, and he had to deal with those hops and the injuries and played all those 2,000 games. Yeah. That to me is more impressive than some of the things that Ozzie did.
Even so, even with at the Major League Baseball level, those fields are pristine. But you're right, especially if you go to the lower levels and you're like, we've walked some of our fields before, and you got like a hole here, a divot there, and balls are going every which direction. With the grass. So
yeah, Dog, what are you thinking?
Cows don't eat it. It ain't natural.
All right.
Sorry. All right. So when we come back, we're going to do some trivia. Charlie, what are we sponsored by today?
We are sponsored by the Smoke Show Barbecue, right in beautiful Concord, New Hampshire.
And you've got a tough one today. You got a tough one. The two of us didn't get it when you gave it to us. So yeah. I'm interested in this. All right, we'll be right back.
This is the Pulse of New Hampshire, 107.7 WTPL.
Hi, Jack Heath here, inviting you to join me October 7th in America's Cowboy Country with Colette.
Sure you know, come away with me.
don't miss out. Space to join me on this magnificent trip is now limited. So grab your Stetson hat and saddle up for an adventure in the Great American West. We'll see the magnificent sights, including Yellowstone National Park, famous for its geysers, hot springs, and incredible wildlife, including free-ranging herds of buffalo. Visit amazing Grand Teton National Park, rugged Badlands National Park, Mount Rushmore, and much, much more. Colette covers all the details, from flights to the meals, hotels, sightseeing, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss your chance to join me in America's cowboy trip. Space to join me is now limited, and the deadline for sign up is Monday, April 7th. Call 800-851-8942 or visit thepulseofanh.com to learn more.
Hey, Dr. Graham, you know what makes Crossroads Chiropractic different?
Our great results, family-friendly atmosphere, affordable adjustments, even without insurance.
No.
The way we do a careful examination and take x-rays when they're necessary. The fact that we make a plan for correction and really help our patients.
Great and true, but I was thinking what really makes us different is our patients themselves.
Well, our patients are awesome. They're like our chiropractic family.
They are our family, and so many of them came to us as a last resort. When nothing else worked, they chose us for help with migraine headaches, back pain, neck pain, sciatica, and even digestive problems.
They also brought their kids for help with bedwetting, chronic ear infections, asthma, colic, and ADHD. But please don't misunderstand. We don't treat conditions or cure anything. We align the spine so the body can heal itself.
Today, we're inviting you to see how chiropractic could help your family. This month, a complete exam with any necessary x-rays is just $59 at Crossroads Chiropractic in Meredith, Pembroke, Bedford, and Epping. Call 603-575-9080 or go to crossroadschiropractic.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Hi, I'm Colonel Mark Hall of the New Hampshire State Police. Tune in every Thursday morning at 9:20 for your New Hampshire State Police segment on Good Morning New Hampshire with Jack on the Pulse of New Hampshire to learn about what we do for public safety in New Hampshire.
Jason LaCroix here from AutoFair. Our team is proud to sponsor your New Hampshire State Police segment on Good Morning New Hampshire. We believe it is important for the community to know more about the men and women who work on the front lines of public safety. Tune in each Thursday morning at 9:20 for your New Hampshire State Police segment brought to you by the team at AutoFair.
Get in touch with the show anytime at thepulseofnh.com and on the free to download Pulse of NH app. Now, back to Mike and the Haas on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Mike and the Haas on the radio waves. Teachers by day, coaches making plays. Horse talking kings of Wolfboro town. Husbands, fathers, where heroes are found. Chewing the fat off the pats and the
All right, it's trivia time for Mike and the Haas. As Charlie mentioned, trivia is brought to you by the Smoke Show Barbecue, and Charlie's got a tough one, so be ready.
All right,
Charlie.
Yeah, you're going to get an opportunity to win a gift card to the Smoke Show Barbecue. The Smoke Show Barbecue is located at 231 South Main Street in Concord, New Hampshire. It serves up Southern-style barbecue with a New England twist. Known for its cool vibe and friendly staff, the restaurant offers classic barbecue favorites like ribs, brisket, pulled pork, turkey, alongside delicious sides like mac and cheese, collard greens, and homemade cornbread. Stop by and tell them that Mike and the Haas sent you. That is the Smoke Show Barbecue right here in Concord, New Hampshire. All right. If you want to win this gift card to Smoke Show Barbecue, the number is 603-228-2080, 603-228-2080. Name the retired baseball player who hit a home run in his first at-bat in single A, double A, triple A, and the major leagues. Retired baseball player who hit a home run at his first at-bat in single A ball, double A ball, triple A ball, and the major leagues. If you know who this player is, 603-228-2080. That's 603-228-2080 for a chance to win a gift card to the Smoke Show Barbecue.
All right. In something that I never thought I would say, at least on the radio, Alex Ovechkin tied Wayne Gretzky's goal mark last night at 894 goals.
Yeah.
And we have talked about records that will never be broken. I don't necessarily think that Gretzky's goal mark was one of them. I think we said Gretzky's point mark was the record that will never be broken. But even though, Gretzky is the greatest of all time, hence the great one, and Ovechkin just tied it in his 20th season of play. Pretty amazing feat. But now you're hearing a little bit of chatter that Ovechkin's, better than Gretzky, which stop.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is stop at this point. Yes, I think this is a great feat, but Ovechkin really was a one-trick pony, 1.5 if you include the physical play, because he does hit. He's a pretty good hitter. But he really is a one-trick pony. He scores most of his goals from one spot on the ice. Yep. And I would argue that Ovechkin doesn't make the team around him better. He's a 3-time MVP. That's props. 1-time Stanley Cup winner. That's good. But you can't compare that to Gretzky's numbers. Gretzky won the MVP 9 out of his first 10 years in the league. Yeah, I believe something a crazy number like that.
And he's got 4 Stanley Cups. Wayne Gretzky.
4 Stanley Cups, and he literally has 1,000 assists more than Ovechkin.
Well, let me break it down for you just quickly. I do have some statistics for you. So Wayne Gretzky, we said 4 Stanley Cups. He's number 1 in assists with 1,963. He's number 1 in NHL all-time with points with 2,857. If you look at Ovechkin, we said 1 Stanley Cup. He's number 56. He's 56th place all-time for assists with 724. Once again, Gretzky had 1,963. Ovechkin has 724. And if you look at points, Ovechkin's at number 11 all-time with 1,618 points. I'm not sure why there's a conversation other than Ovechkin is going to become number 1 in goals when he gets one more goal to go to 895. Why there's a conversation that Ovechkin is better than Wayne Gretzky. The great 8 is not better than the great 1.
I think it's a little bit about era that they played in. If you look at the goalies that Gretzky was playing against, they play a much different game, at least at the beginning of his career, than we see now. Right now, goalies take up the whole net compared to back then. The goalies back then were very small. They played a stand-up style. It was a different style of goal. So there is the era question. But when you look at the overall body of work, it's not comparable. I barely put Ovechkin in the top 10 of hockey players all time, even though he's going to be the number 1 goal, because again, I think he's a one-trick pony. He scored the majority of his goals from that left hash mark. He was a righty shot from that left hash mark in power play situation and one-timers. He was just called a great goal scorer, an absolute great goal scorer, a la Brett Hull, somebody like that. But again, I don't know if he makes the team better around him.
No, and I automatically put 3 guys ahead of him. Ovechkin. I've got Yager ahead of him. I've got Gordie Howe ahead of him. I've got Mario Lemieux ahead of him. So I don't know why we're having this conversation about.
I don't know.
I know we're not, but we haven't heard from Dog. Maybe Dog thinks he's the greatest player of all time.
He's the greatest Russian hockey player of all time. He's the greatest Washington Capital of all time. He's the second best player of his era. Who's the best player of his era in this era?
Connor McDavid, probably, or Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby.
Sid the Kid.
Yeah. Either or. Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby. I think Connor McDavid probably is going to pass Sidney Crosby. He's putting up points at a pretty good clip right now. And he's somebody who's probably making the team around him better. Not that Sidney Crosby didn't, but I'm saying right now, probably Sidney Crosby. I think Connor McDavid has a good chance to pass him.
Connor McDavid of that correct? Because I don't think he is. I think he's later. It's between these two. It's between Ovechkin and Sid the Kid. They were both drafted in the same year. That's the era I'm kind of going by.
Okay, so you're going a real tight area. Connor McDavid's been around for 6-7 years.
Talking 20 years. This is the body of work.
Okay, all right.
Between these two right now, that's it.
I don't think there's anybody else. Yeah, I would agree within this 20-year period. Then it's between those two, and Ovechkin would probably be number 2. Again, all time though, where do you stack Ovechkin? Is he a top 5 player? Is he a top 10 player?
Oh, he's not top 5.
No.
Would I have him in the top 10? Oh, that's a tough one too. He may be number 10. He may be
right,
but he's not better than Sid the Kid. You got to put Sid the Kid above him.
You got to put him right. Mario Lemieux. You've got Bobby Orr. You've got
like I said, Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe. I mean, you got. I mean, that list goes on and on. And
yeah,
what's that?
Brodeur, Waugh.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I would put ahead of him. Is he the greatest goal scorer of all time? That's possible. Yeah. It's possible. But again, I just look at him as much more of a one-trick pony, and maybe that's an unfair characterization, but I just know the highlight films that I see of Ovechkin, he seems to be standing in the same spot every time with a one-timer going in the net.
Now, did you notice? So Gretzky's been at all these games, of course, which I think is great. And Gretzky is he's a class act. But when you look at, this is just totally random. When you look at Wayne Gretzky, he actually looks younger now than Ovechkin does. Like Ovechkin looks like an old man out there, and Wayne Gretzky is still looking pretty like he could still score goals.
Yeah, and I do think something that is undervalued as far as Ovechkin's game is the physical prowess that he brings to the, and a lot of the Russians did that. And the Russians were always thought of as skilled players, but a lot of those guys came over and hit the bejesus out of the Americans. I mean, they're just big hitters, and because they had that, and now Ovechkin has that old man strength on his side, and you can tell when he runs into somebody, guys are going down.
Yeah.
So
can I do trivia one more time, guys?
Yeah, and then we got to do a poll question too.
All right, trivia to win a gift card to the Smoke Show Barbecue. Name the retired baseball player who hit a home run in his first at bat in Single A, Double A, Triple A, and the major leagues. If you know who it is, 603-228-2080. That's 603-228-2080.
All right, poll question last week, Dog.
It was. Has the March Madness NCAA tournament on men's and women's sides has been a massive letdown in 2025. And on X, it was 66.7% saying yes, 33.3% saying no. On Facebook, 99% yes, 1% no.
Yeah. Wow. I guess I'm not surprised. I mean, that's how the three of us felt. So how about this week, Dog? What are we going to do?
Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Michael Jordan or LeBron James? That is on X and on Facebook.
Can we add one more choice? Can we put other? Because I think we can put up to 4. Let's put other. Let's not box out, any of those the Kobe fans that are out there, or the Isaiah Thomas fans that are out there, or
Bird,
the Birds, or Kevin Garnett if you're Charlie. Maybe you want to put him in there.
Yeah.
Remember Kevin Garnett's nickname before he went to the Celtics?
What was it, Dog?
Kevin Garnott, because he couldn't get it done with Minnesota. So,
jeez. Oh,
his nickname was the big
ring ticket, now, baby.
But Bayless decided to go in the negative Kevin Garnott, and it stuck. People would go Garnott. So. Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we'll talk Red Sox.
News, information, and discussion. This is 107.7 WTPI.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Kevin, and we're the proud owners of your local Budget Blinds.
Spring is the perfect time to ask about our solar shades that block harmful UV rays and maintain a comfortable temperature in your home, as well as protect your furniture, carpeting, and flooring from fading.
And now is the perfect time to update your window shades with our buy two, get one free sale. And don't forget our industry-leading 5-year, no questions asked warranty.
At Budget Blinds, we carry blinds, shades, shutters, drapes, motorized window coverings, and are your local expert in home automation.
We would love to help you get started today. Text blinds to 78,000.
That's blinds to 78,000. Or stop by our newly renovated showroom and see for yourself all the incredible products we offer at 248 Sheep Davis Road in Concord.
For more detailed information, text blinds to 78,000.
Hey, it's Big Pete, and this is Repeat from the Appleseed Restaurant in beautiful Bradford, New Hampshire. Today, we'd like to present the Duchess. Soup, that is.
That's our signature soup. We've had it since we've been open, 46 years now. It's a blend of cheeses, celery, carrots, onions, all put together, slow cooked, comes out nice and creamy.
Delicious. And Dad, how many people have that recipe?
1, 2, 3. Actually, that would be nobody.
And why is that, Dad?
Because it's a secret recipe.
That's right, it is. I believe the original recipe is kept in the basement in the Appleseed Vault.
Do we still have the combination for that?
Let's talk about catering, Dad.
Good idea.
We have a website dedicated to our catering, which is appleseedcatering.com. Lots of good information there.
And for all other things, Appleseed, ...
Menus, online ordering, up-to-date hours, and even gift cards. Check out appleseedrestaurant.com. What's that website again, Dad?
You can get anything you want at appleseedrestaurant.com.
Oh, great. Now we got to pay Arlo royalties.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hi, I'm Colonel Mark Hall of the New Hampshire State Police. Tune in every Thursday morning at 9:20 for your New Hampshire State Police segment on Good Morning New Hampshire with Jack on the Pulse of New Hampshire to learn about what we do for public safety in New Hampshire.
Jason LaCroix here from AutoFair. Our team is proud to sponsor your New Hampshire State Police segment on Good Morning New Hampshire. We believe it is important for the community to know more about the men and women who work on the front lines of public safety. Tune in each Thursday morning at 9:20 for your New Hampshire State Police segment brought to you by the team at AutoFair.
You're listening to the Granite State's own Mike and the Hoss on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Mike and the Hoss, Sports Talk Classics, in New England Magic, broadcast fantastic. Wolfboro crew where the echoes scream. Fathers, coaches.
It's time to talk Boston Red Sox. They are playing today on the Pulse of New Hampshire. 3:05 pregame, 4:05 first pitch. Looking for 4 wins in a row against the St. Louis Cardinals. Mentioned at the top of the show, the roller coaster ride. The Sox won the first one. We were excited. Lost the next 4. We're bummed. We thought it's all over. Nobody could hit. Devers was 0 for 19. Devers was setting records of how many strikeouts you can open the season with.
Right.
And, the stat that was running around on Monday was that Tony Gwynn, in I think 85, struck out 15 times in over 500 at-bats. Devers struck out 15 times in 19 at-bats. So there was some infamous...
He figured it out.
Yeah, he did. Well, he seemed to have, and as the rest of the team has. And so they proceeded to win 3 in a row. The bats certainly woke up. Crochet, who they extended to a nice team-friendly sort of risk contract. I guess it goes both ways. Proved to be the ace, the stopper that you were paying, because he came in on Thursday and threw a shutout against Baltimore. And Baltimore, you guys have picked to win the division, which is really cool. And then the bats woke up. And they scored 8 runs and 13 runs in the next 2 games. It's, again, a roller coaster ride, but I think we were encouraged at the beginning of the year what was happening. I think this is a little bit more we thought was going to be, what they've played over the last 3 games. Not that they're going to win every game. But I am afraid about it being a roller coaster, though, because I don't know if I can handle that this year. But you know what they have a little jump to their step, and it was fun.
One of the refreshing things for me, and you mentioned with Crochet, is that he pitched 8 innings. Like that, starters don't do that anymore, and it was just nice to be able to see that. And he was rolling, and that was great to see. And I don't know if you've seen the latest he does like a commercial or whatever, and I don't know, I like him. He's likable, and he it looks like he's going to fit in perfectly with the Boston fans.
There seems to be a lot of guys on this team that are likable. Yeah. I'd say there's a couple that are not right now. One of them being the guy at first base. I think Tristan Casas. With Devers' struggles that was happening through the first 5 or so games, what was going under the radar were the struggles of Story and Casas. And Wong, for that matter, your guy, Charlie, Connor Wong, and that they were not hitting at all. But Devers was the name who wasn't hitting. And it took a lot of attention away. I like what the Red Sox are doing. Christian Campbell, they extended him also. They got him signed for 2032, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Through 2032. And the first couple of games, like, is this guy a major leaguer? Boy, he looks like a major leaguer right now.
He does.
And even defensively, he's turning that double play, which they were worried about. He's making plays. He does make errors here and there, but the bat makes up for it. He's batting over 400. Wilyer Abreu's batting over 500 right now. This is that youth movement with Chaim Bloom. He was a big part of this thing, and these guys are coming up. I want them to continue this, and I have a suggestion for them. They have so much excitement going on in that team. I would like them to move Devers to first base. I want Casas to be out, and I want them to bring up Marcelo Meyer, put him at shortstop. I want Story gone because I don't think you could trust him. He's going to get hurt. And then bring up Roman Anthony. You have a 4-man outfield, and on that fourth day that he becomes the DH, that fourth guy becomes the DH, and they just rotate through. I want the youth. I want to see that. I think that there's a lot of excitement seeing Christian Campbell out there, seeing Willie Barrio, seeing Duran out there, Rafaela, all these guys that are playing right now. Let's go young. Let's ride that because that's what's bringing the excitement to the park.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. And I mean, I think you'd be able to get something for Trevor Story and for Tristan Casas. So you might as well do it because it's not like you're right. You're not depleting. We know what's coming up. So it could work out for the Red Sox.
And one of the big worries that we had with the bullpen, I think we were all saying the bullpen, might be a stretch. They've pitched really well.
They have
the bullpen, and Chapman's pitched really well. We haven't had the 4-hour ninth innings. He's pretty much gone right at it, and which is unlike him. I don't know if he's going to settle into his old ways and go full count on every single hitter, but he has been throwing strikes. And so far, there's not a complaint. And he came in. There was a rally last night in the ninth inning with St. Louis. They had a couple guys on, and Chapman came in to shut the thing down. So. There's a lot of positives. I'm looking forward to watching the game this afternoon, and I haven't been able to say that very much in the past couple of years, but I'm looking forward to watching the game this afternoon or listening to the game on the Pulse of New Hampshire at 4:05.
Yeah.
3:10 pregame, 4:10 first pitch.
So 3:10 pregame, 4:05. Okay.
Too early if you're at 05.
You'll hear the end of the pregame show.
Sorry.
Can we talk? Let me do the trivia, and then can we just talk a little bit about NCAA basketball after this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, the trivia question this week is a gift card for the Smoke Show barbecue. I want to know who's the retired baseball player that had a hit at his first at bat in Single A, Double A, Triple A, and the major leagues. If you know who that player is, and I'm actually going to give a hint. His home run that he hit in the major leagues was off of Nolan Ryan. He hit his first at-bat home run right off of Nolan Ryan. 603-228-2080, 603-228-2080. So it's championship weekend, gentlemen, for the women and the men. I told Mike off air, I watched both women's games last night, and I enjoyed it. And we're going to see South Carolina, the Gamecocks, playing the UConn Huskies. And that game is tomorrow at 3 p.m. It's the NCAA Women's Championship. I don't know if you guys knew this, and I found this really interesting. South Carolina, they compete, they practice against men. They don't practice against themselves. And what they've done is they said that men are better basketball players, and I'm paraphrasing this. So they take guys that were good in high school that are going to South Carolina, and they've assembled a practice squad team of pretty good high school basketball players. They weren't good enough to play on the men's team, Division I in South Carolina. And that's who these women play against. They said it's physical, it's better basketball, it gets us ready. It's the mindset that we need to compete against men to perfect our game and make our game better. I don't know if you guys had heard that. And so I did a little more research, and I don't know the WNBA team that does this, but there's a WNBA team that does something similar, where they kind of focus in and they're playing against guys to perfect their game. And I think that's genius, because the guys' game is different than the women's game. I think the women's game is beautiful because it's pure basketball, but they need to get that physicality, and they do it against men. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty interesting. Why not? It's like playing up. You're playing up against your ability to try and be better.
Yeah.
Charlie, I know Dog's going to wave us off in a second here. Well, who's the winner of the trivia? What was the answer for the trivia?
The winner of the trivia is Will the Thrill Clark. He did it in Single A, Double A, Triple A, and the Major League Baseball.
I have a quick story about Will the Thrill. He ruined my baseball career, and I'll tell you that in the next time. Hey, if you want to catch our podcast, the Pulse of New Hampshire Podcast Network, you can catch this show. Also, Overtime with Mike and the Hoss that we do during the week. So that's going to do it for us. Have a great week, everybody.